Hi, friends. I have a message tonight. It's a very important message about mind control. Your TV and radio is trying to make you into a mind control slave. Um, Mind control slavery is a really big secret in the world today, but it's something that is pervasive throughout fa- every area of society, especially in the entertainment and in politics, which is entertainment. Um, Medicine, there's mind control slaves in science, there are mind control slaves everywhere. And these mind control slaves are made in a laboratory, just like you would put together a car or you would build a ship or something. You could build a mind control slave out of a human being. And they start when they're little. They start with a small person, and they start conditioning that person by splitting their mind into different fragments and programming those different fragments to perform different tasks. And those fragments may or may not be aware of the other fragments, and may or may not be aware that that person is even human. It's very interesting, mind control. I recommend again Kathy O'Brien's book, The Transformation of America, and also Fritz Springmeier's book, How the Illuminati Create an Undetectable Mind Control Slave. Um, they split people into different pieces. So that's what the media is trying to do, to you and to me and to all of the people, because the programmers are like the Wizard of Oz, like the people that bring you your entertainment. If you watch Netflix or if you watch HBO, like any of the entertainment things, or if you listen to the radio, or if you read magazines and books, um, those are all brought to you by programmers, and the programmers are shaping they're shaping the public mind. Like, just imagine we all share the same mind, right? Some people have taken the mind into their own hands, and they're shaping it, how they want it to be, and those people are the billionaires. And the billionaires, they're all mind control slaves. You can't be a billionaire if you're not a mind control slave. That's why you don't see ordinary people ever becoming a billionaire. And they try to convince you that that's possible, but it's not. It's absolutely that will never happen. An ordinary person could become a millionaire, and I'm sure that has happened. um, but that's a far cry from a billionaire. So the billionaires are mind control slaves, and they are slave owners, meaning that they own multiple human beings, and they use them for sex, and they use them for espionage, and they use them for murder, and they use them to relay messages back and forth between each other. Um, they groom children to be slaves, um, and when the children become adults, they usually don't get out of it because they can't remember that they are a slave, because they erase the memory. So I'm telling you all this because it's a very broad area of study, and I'm trying to consolidate just the highlights of the topic into just a sort of a comprehensive, um, just sort of a comparison to the entertainment industry, which, like I said, the entertainment industry is everything. It's politics, business, sports. All of it is entertainment, and all of it is fake. Okay, the entire world, everything, the economy, um, all the way down to sports, all the way down to education. Everything is already decided long before we ever catch wind of any of it. It's all show business. All the politics and the political things, all that stuff is decided ahead of time. Or, if we want to, if maybe it's more realistic to say that there's only two possibilities of, there's two ways that it could go, but either way, the agenda is the same, and that agenda is to make you into a mind control slave. And they want to make everybody into a mind control slave, because that's how they feel most safe. Because frankly, I think they feel kind of threatened when the population grows and it becomes prosperous. because that means they're not going to be so much different than everybody else, and there'll be a lot more equality, and the elites are afraid of that. They don't want there to be economic equality. They don't want there to be social equality. They want there to be slaves and masters forever. Slaves and masters, because that's just how they came to be. That's how they roll. That's their community. The Illuminati, that's just how they roll. That's how they've always been. And they're trying to make everybody into their slaves. So they use a lot of manipulation, with facts and stuff that they call facts, and with science, and with history, and all of the history and all of the science that comes from the official narrative of things is all 100% phony. It's all 100% fake. All of these so-called COVID deaths and all this stuff is not. um it's a complete farce, and I recommend that people look deeper into the subject if you're able to find anything, because they also now are censoring a lot of the venues for true information. That's why I'm sharing what I know, because you might not be able to find it so easily anymore. Um, I post a lot of videos on my Facebook page because I want people to see those videos before they go away. But I'm really just kind of sort of talking about YouTube, because there are other websites, and I don't usually look at a lot of other websites. So but you'll just have to investigate a little further than you might have to at this time, because YouTube still has a lot of truth on there, and you can still get the scoop on a lot of things. The medical profession is it's ran by the same people that everything else is ran by. And there are nurses that are talking about how the medical staff are killing people with ventilators and stuff. And you know nobody is willing to save lives. Everybody, it's like there's a lot of things going on that are shady, and it's all designed to, for one thing, to reduce the population, because that's very important to the elites. They want population control, pretty stabilized. They don't want a lot of people on the earth, because then they'll be too outnumbered, and that makes them nervous, even though they have you know 90% of all the world's resources in their back pocket. They're still there because they're sick, and they don't feel safe no matter what. They're just crazy like that, because they have so much bad karma, and they've been so awful, and their predecessors have been so awful, so they feel paranoid all the time. um so that's important. Population control is important. And then the people that remain, as much as possible, they want those people under mind control as much as possible. And mind control simply means that you're programmable. That means that someone can make a suggestion to you, and if the suggestion is made in the right way and in the right tone, that you will receive the suggestion, and that you will respond to it in the desired fashion that the suggestion was offered to you in. When you're listening to the radio and you hear a song on the radio, that song is offering you a suggestion. And when you hear radio DJs, all of those radio DJs work for the billionaires. They all work for the billionaires, and they're all trying to get promoted and be as important as possible. Same thing with the producers of musical content. If you're into pop culture at all, you can definitely see it there. I mean, it's just endless amount of mind control, endless amount of suggestions and commands, and just trying to identify you in a particular way that isn't coming from yourself. It's somebody else's idea of what they want you to be, and it goes really deep. And I know not a lot of people are really going to be able to grasp what I'm saying here. But for those of you who do grasp it, I highly recommend that you become more critical and analytical of the things that you listen to, that you read, and that you watch, because the whole world of consumption that we consume books, we consume magazines, we consume movies and TV shows, we consume music and music videos, commercials, You know, we're consuming all that stuff, but we think we're the ones consuming it, but it's actually consuming us. That's what's really happening. Okay, all of that stuff is designed to extract some kind of value out of the people, and it is an extractive process. So now they're taking it even further and keeping people isolated so that they feel even more anxious. Or it's Monsters Inc. Okay, you remember how in Monsters Inc. like the monsters would go into the kids' rooms and scare them, and then that fear would go into a box, and that would be like the food for the monsters, right? Well, that's really what we're in. We're in Monsters Inc. So all of the scare tactics that they use about so-called, you know, germs and what civil war, all the stuff that they talk about, all those narratives and stuff, school shootings, all of that stuff is fake. All of it, 100% from top to bottom. Okay. I'm not looking for an argument. I don't want to argue with anybody. Okay. I'm totally open to sharing and communicating and talking in a way that might be helpful and might help to enlighten you on the things that I'm saying. But I can tell you 100% that God did not make this earth for us to be shuddered and for us to be afraid of the wind or afraid of the air or afraid of each other even. That is not God's vision for humanity. That is not our truth. That is not our true identity. So it's a form of mind control slavery to put a muzzle over our faces in public. And if you're not wearing your mask, then that's a big deal and you feel all anxious about it. That's mind control. Okay, because you're more suggestible. You know, we're just more suggestible. We're so freaked out about everything, and there, because there's no, they can't really say that there's like an existential threat anymore, because the, with the internet and everything is known and everything is seen. It's not like back in the days when we didn't have internet, so they could tell us anything. They could say, oh, the Russians are doing this and that, and then we would just be like, the American people fell for it, and they would do what they were told. They would accept the commands, and they would take on these roles, and they would take on these false identities based on the crisis, based on the false crisis. And that's all it is. It's a bunch of false identities that are issued to the masses of people in order to orient themselves correctly with the false crises that there are always going to be. They're always going to roll out false crisis after false crisis after false crisis. And so if you don't want to be a mind control slave, then just keep in mind, and I'm going to tell you how I arrived at this point. I came from the entertainment industry. Okay, I worked in Hollywood for a long time, many years. And so I used to trip on how, movies were made and TV shows were made. And all the people, I mean, it's just an incredible number of people involved to make a 30-second commercial. You would not believe how many people and how much lights and how much, just incredible stuff is involved. It's really impressive, but it's so much magic stuff, it's just so much. And it blows your mind. And of course, if you see all of that from behind the scenes, then when you go and watch a movie, then you're going to see how you're going to be looking at the filmmaking side of things instead of just sitting there and enjoying the movie. I can't enjoy a movie anymore. I mean, I haven't been able to enjoy a movie as just a plain, spectator for a long time, because I'm looking at the production, aspects of the film. But then that led me on to actually going a little deeper. Not only is the film completely, it's an absolute contrivance from head to toe, but the motivations for the film, why do the actors speak the way they do? Why do they dress the way they do? Why do they interact the way they do? I started to investigate all of the reasons behind things, because I started to feel like they were talking to me all the time, and like they wanted me to respond in a particular way. And after a while, it started to really become annoying. And now I just get angry, because how dare you? I don't know you. I don't know who you are. So that's how I arrived at it, was coming at it from a perspective of realizing how things are made, like how entertainment is made, and just opening my mind to the possibility that everything that you see on official media is entertainment, whether it's politics, whether it's sports. I know everybody wants to think that they don't know who the winner is, like it's going to be some random sporting. No, they're not going to leave millions of dollars like that flapping in the wind. You're not going to, that's not going to happen. Um, Kobe Bryant, back in the day when Kobe used to make all those, shoot all those baskets and get all those points and stuff, like that was all show business and stuff. And it's very specifically accurately calculated. And same thing with politics. It's very accurately calculated all the way down to the least voter up to the most voter, because then they categorize all the people based on their level of importance and influence in society, and they target people accordingly. So don't let the programmers make you into a mind control slave, okay? Because the programmers, they're desperate to keep the system alive one way or another, and they'll make you feel sympathy for them. You see a lot of stuff on TV involving things that are tender, that pull at your heartstrings. That's it was kind of embarrassing to me last year how many things were like that, because the homeless issue came up a lot, and it was like, the violins would start playing and people would be crying, and it was just like so much theatrics when nobody's really trying to solve the problem. So it's like, are you really doing this because you want to help these people, or are you just using them to use me and like get inside of my head, and make me feel some type of way? So yeah, there's guilt trips and there's ego trips and there's flattery, and of course there's a lot of fear and anxiety. There's a lot of pressure to perform this way or that way, to stay in this relationship, or to get out of a relationship, or to just not have a relationship and to sleep around. There's pressure on all of the different characters, okay? Because all of you are playing a character. Every single person has a character on Netflix, or Hulu, or whatever the big channels are where people get their entertainment. You have a character, and if you're worshiping the characters, then you're losing out, because your life is more important than that. Your life is more important than a Hollywood film. Your reality and your truth is more important, and your freedom and your sovereignty, and you should be able to make choices for yourself and not be told by any media outlet how you should choose and what things you should consider as your truth and as your reality. And the more flattery you get from the entertainment, the more useful you become to them. So the more controllable they want you to be, because they're not gonna let anybody rise in prominence ever in society unless they can absolutely control them 100%. So it's all about mind control, and I'm all about that freedom. I want my mind to be 100% free. I don't want anybody having any expectations of me, especially if you don't even know me. You know, I don't want to be a part of the magic show. I don't want to be a part of the big production of Earth, because it's all a stage and everything is staged, and everybody's reacting off of, what they saw on TV or whatever, and it's all staged and it's all phony. So, thanks for listening. I'm interested in freedom and love. Peace.